Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Thanks for the introduction. That was beautiful. Another round of applause for 29 years. I think we gotta give it up for this guy. I was 4 years old when he started here. Sorry, I had to do that. My name is Cam Fillmore. I work for Verkada. I've actually been partnering with KIS for almost 4 years now, which is crazy because I feel like I just started at Verkada like a couple of years ago. And when I first started at Verkada, it was interesting. We actually only had cameras as a product. And I think to this day, a lot of people think of Verkada as a camera-only company. But what's unique about us is actually we do everything physical security now. So we've expanded our product line quite a bit. And we've made every product we have, which you'll see in this, individually to operate on its own. So you don't need to have every product in order to use access control or cameras or sensors and so on. You can actually use every single product as a standalone. But the beauty about Verkada is the more products you use, the more power and more positivity that you get back from using the product suite. So today, I'm going to go in and kind of talk about our company. We were actually founded back in 2016 by a bunch of computer scientists from Stanford, as well as a gentleman by the name of Hans Robertson. If any of you guys are familiar with networking technology or internet, he created this company called Meraki, small company that got purchased by Cisco back in 2012 for about a little bit over $1 billion. And you know, he decided after his Meraki venture to start a new company. And I've actually had many conversations with Hans, being one of the first 100 employees. It's been awesome. But what he really told me, and he tells a lot of our customers, the reason why he started Verkada was he noticed that inside of the consumer world, so you go to your house, you have Ring, you have Nest, you have Arlo, you have a lot of products from a camera standpoint that you can get right in the palm of your hand, right? You can see your cameras from your hand, from your phone, you can get alerts, you can get notifications, you can share video, you can save it. It's very, very, very user-friendly. What he noticed when he went inside of enterprise buildings, commercial buildings like this, buildings downtown, multifamily units, is typically the systems that were in those buildings were super, super outdated. You have a lot of on-premise hardware necessary, storage, recorders, desktop stations with software that needed to be manually installed, and no backup or kind of cloud capabilities, right? And so that's when Verkada was born. And when we came out, we actually came out with just 3 cameras, and our products, all they could really do is stream to a web browser or your phone and sense motion. That was it. We didn't have any analytics, we didn't have any capabilities, and from them we've really developed kind of 1,000x the amount of capabilities that the Verkada camera and platform can do. So everything from searching by face, searching by shirt colors, searching by any attribute. If a person appears to be a male, appears to be a female, we can also search by car attributes, license plates. We do person of interest. We back up to third-party databases and can search against sexual offenders when you're checking in. So there's a ton of things now that we can now do with Verkada, which is really cool. And our goal really as a company was to really create like a modern enterprise physical security system to power smart buildings for the future, right? We all have a unique situation now with, things that are going on in retail and downtown and, wanting to make sure that they're secure when you come to work, you feel safe, you don't feel like anyone can just come into the building. And so Verkada has really made a system that allows you to not only protect your people inside your building, which is the most important thing, your workers, your coworkers, but also all the assets that are in there, but doing it in a private manner, right? And so that's really our vision and that's our goal. Moving along, these are all the products that Verkada offers today, right? Cameras was the first product. I talked a little bit about that. And from there, we've moved on and we've generated, what is that, 7 different products. From cameras, we actually stepped into access control. And the reason why we started building access control was we actually were getting feedback from our customer base, right? We created a really cool camera system and they loved it. You plug it in, it's just one cable, power over Ethernet, right to the switch and it pops online. They loved it, it was easy, it was simple, but a lot of our customers came back to us and they said, what if we could integrate this with our doors? Like, can I see actually when someone badges, can I actually see the camera feed that goes with that badge to get in the building so I can actually verify the person who's badging into the building is actually who they say to be? Can you guys integrate with the current system we have? And we go, okay, give us some time. We took 1 year and then we came out with Verkada Access Control. We're like, we built our own product. Here you go, right? And then customers came back to us and they go, well, there's a lot of things that happen inside the building from motion sensing to air quality. Is there any way you can build a sensor that loops in with your camera? Because we're having real issues inside of our classrooms or inside of our bathrooms with vaping with students. We go, So we then build our air quality sensors and we realized that the chipset that we use was so powerful that it could do more than just vape. It could do 15 other disciplines. And so it's really just like a utility sensor that can sense pretty much anything inside of the building. Anything from CO2 to carbon dioxide, monoxide, TVOC, which is total volatile organic compounds, like ammonium, bleach, if someone cleans a room. Humidity, temperature, motion, noise. Noise is really big in manufacturing to make sure that you're up to code for your employees. So if the equipment is really loud, you're required to wear headgear, so they use it for that. So we came out with air quality sensors. After air quality sensors, I used to get a lot of questions from customers like, hey, you guys got cameras, you guys got access control, and you guys got sensors, and this is great, and they're all great, and they all work cohesively, but you're really just a bunch of noise, right? I'm just getting tons of notifications, and typically it's after the fact. People always talked about physical security as like, oh, well, someone robbed my building, I came there the next day, and yeah, I've got footage of it, but we didn't prevent it from happening, right? And that was always a big kind of push from customers, and I was like, man, if we could just like somehow figure out a way to like send this data immediately to police while it's happening and prevent things from happening, that would be incredible. And so we came out with our alarm system. And with our alarm system, we actually have 24/7 professional monitoring built into it. So now we actually have the capability to prevent incidents while they're happening, dispatch police, share the evidence of the crime that's going on, and they're 90% more likely to get there within 10 minutes or less, right? Traditional alarm systems, I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. Bay Alarm is a big company in the area. Usually it's just a bunch of sensors deployed inside of a building. And they're not smart sensors, right? They can't sense things that are happening, they just sense motion, and when that sensor is tripped, it just automatically dispatches police. So what happens a lot with traditional alarm systems, you get a lot of false alarms. And when cops get called to a place that is always having false alarms, they're less likely to come because they're like, it's probably another false alarm, we'll go in an hour and do a drive by the building and nothing will happen. So that was the real big game changer for us from a product standpoint. From there, we actually developed our first 2 software-only products, which is Verkada Guest, which is a visitor management system for visitor check-in, if there's an interviewer, if there's a contractor, if there's a parent picking up your kids. You can actually have customized check-in that's branded to your business for that person coming on site. And it loops in with the cameras, so it audits anything that person does. It can follow them around the building and tell you who they came in contact with, what rooms they went into, right? So very, very cool. Mailroom is also a combined product with Verkada Guest. And what Mailroom does is actually package automation, sorry, tongue twister. And so what it does is you scan the package, it's going to automatically notify the user who that package is there for, alert them that it's ready for pickup, tie in with the video, and show where that package was put, so you'll never lose a package again. So people are loving that solution. And our last product that we just recently came out with is Verkada Intercom, really completing the whole suite of physical security products from the very, very perimeter of your building, working your way in, right? Intercom is usually the first thing that is the prevention from an intruder or a visitor coming in, and that is how you verify whether that person is supposed to be there or not. And what's beautiful about our intercom system, it's actually taking 3 of our products and combining it in one, because it's a camera, just like our regular traditional cameras. It's a access door controller. It's a one-door controller, so you actually don't need a launcher access control alongside with it. It acts as that for your front door. And then the third thing is it's an intercom. You can actually two-way audio and speak to someone. So 3 products in one, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback from that. So kind of went through that already. So wanted to talk about traditional systems. I kind of alluded to it a little bit with kind of why Hans started the business, which is really important, but I kind of wanted to show you, if you're not familiar with traditional camera system architectures, and also go through kind of access control. But if you look, I have a little pointer, cool. If you look over here, you have anywhere from 8 to 32 cameras. Those cameras usually have, an Ethernet cord connected to a switch. That switch then routes to a local NVR or DVR. If you're not familiar with what NVR means, it means network video recorder. And then from there, in order to view these cameras, you usually have a local PC or monitor, and they actually have a software on it, right? At every single point of these solutions, from cameras to NVRs to local PCs to monitors, you have different OEMs or different manufacturers creating each technology. You'll have a camera company like Bosch or Pelco that creates the physical camera, but they don't create the software for it. And then you have an NVR company like Avigilon or Access or Milestone that create the actual NVR. And then you have a different software company, right? And so you're having all these disparate solutions that weren't cooked together in the same room, trying to integrate together. And while they can, and you can do that, if one of these breaks, it's a pain, right? It's very expensive to call somebody, come out, survey the system. What happened? Is it the cable? Is it the camera? Is it the software that needs to be updated? Is it the NVR that's out of licensing, right? And you have a lot of, I don't know if you guys have seen the meme on Instagram of Superman, or not Spider-Man pointing at each other, right? We always make jokes. You have a lot of vendors kind of pointing, oh, it's the NVR that needs to be updated. It's not the camera. It's the software that needs to be updated. It's not the NVR, right? And it's a nightmare. No customer wants to deal with that. It's a poor experience. And it's also very expensive, when it comes to redoing your servers and network video recorders. Not to mention, these servers and recorders are a single point of failure. If that server goes down, the 32 cameras that are on it are no longer on. They can't work, right? So you have to literally wait until a server comes back in, gets plugged in, take out to boot those cameras back up. So this is all local, right? You'd physically have to go to the location to view those cameras in this type of architecture. And in order to view it remotely, you'd have to literally poke a hole in a firewall, open a port, forward VPNs, and stream data constantly, which just hikes up the bandwidth a ton, right? And a lot of people, what they'll do with traditional camera system architects, they'll put on a completely separate network because it's just too much bandwidth to actually have your emails and work stuff that you're doing on the same network as your cameras. And so this is typically what you would have to deal with from a camera standpoint. And then from access control, it's just the same, right? And I think the big pain here from an access control standpoint is not so much the on-premise nature of it. It's really the provisioning and deprovisioning of users, right? There's actually a terminal that sorry, I went back one. That local server or PC, this terminal, if you're using a traditional access control system, you have to physically go there to cut a card, key card, provision a user access, take them, remove them from the system. If someone gets fired, like, where's the automated way of actually removing that person from your system and deactivating their card? It's not as flexible as different systems are today, and that's really the pain point. And so what I hear from a lot of customers is in order to combat that, to be more flexible, they end up doing a bunch of temporary key cards. Just have a bunch of temporary key cards that they'll hand out to new employees or visitors or contractors that are floating around. That's like if you just had locking keys, just giving people a master key to your building and being like, I hope you bring it back. It's not very secure. And so looking at a traditional alarm system, it's no different either. I talked about the false alarms, right? The frequent false alarms with the traditional system because it doesn't have video verification. You have a lot of complex hardware. A lot of times they're running wiring directly from that sensor to that control panel. I hear situations where when an alarm gets triggered, all of the sensors are daisy chained together and into one port. And so when the police is called, they actually don't know what sensor was tripped. They don't know what side of the building got tripped, what door got open, what window got broke. They just know that there's an alarm event there, and they come directly to the building, and they don't know where to enter, right, where to go. So there's that, so lack of visibility into events, device status, and frustrating software experience, right? Like if you want to audit an alarm, when an alarm gets triggered and tripped and police get called, it's very, very hard to do that with the traditional system. You don't have video evidence backed up with it. You don't know whether the police came or not. It's very, very hard to kind of compile that data together. And we also hear there's very, very bad customer support situation when dealing with your traditional ADTs or Bay alarms. So Verkada, how are we different? I know I talked a lot about other solutions. We are a single pane of glass where you can get all of the solutions in one place, and that's Verkada Command. I know some of you, raise your hands, who's seen a Verkada demo? I know some of you have. Yep, we got some customers in the room. Shout out to Eden Housing. Through Verkada Command, you're actually able to view, manage, maintain, audit every single one of your physical security devices. And we can do that at a limitless scale from a bandwidth standpoint. All of our devices actually at rest operate between 20 and 50 kilobits per second on your network, which is super, super small. And only when you actually tap into a camera to view the live stream remotely does that bandwidth go up. But very, very nominally in relation to having a VPN streaming a 4K camera. And you're also able to access this anywhere. So as long as you have an iPhone or a smartphone and Android store, Apple store, we have phone app solution that comes with it. We have the browser that you can get on any Google Chrome or Firefox browser that you're using. Command.verkada.com. Very, very easy to get to. We also have a capability. You see this little line over the top. This fly doesn't want to leave me alone. This line over the top actually is the ability to do an offline mode and actually view cameras or your different Verkada products over the local area network. And so if you actually are in your building, you don't need to tap into the internet to view your cameras. And it's within 1 to 2 seconds of real time instead of delayed. Cool. That is Verkada. I actually don't have the ability to go and show you the product, but if you guys want a product demo, yes, question? PoE? PoE? Power over Ethernet? Sorry, good question. So data cable, back to the switch. Sorry, any other questions? Yep.
Does any of your security systems tie into like an E911 system?
Like emergency broadcast?
Or no, 911.
911? Yes. So our alarm system is actually tied in directly with local police. So we actually use third-party monitoring. They've been doing alarm monitoring for 10, 15, 20 years. They're UL listed, 5-diamond rated. So the same alarm monitoring stations that ADT would use, we use as well, but they're able to actually view the event and dispatch that event directly to the local police officer to then come on site. So yes, it's integrated with 911, it's integrated with fire, all emergency broadcasts. Good question. If you guys want to see a demo, please come over to our booth. We're taking down names. We're happy to follow up and show you kind of how the solution works. But if there's no more questions, I really appreciate the time. And yeah, thank you so much.